Good morning, Zane. This is Mike from Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine. And this is the Viking 2000. What a lovely present to give. And this is the final test before we pack her up to ship her out to you. And in this test, we're going to go over the basic operations of the machine. Just in case your missus is not familiar with the with this machine, or if she is, you know, as a refresher. So yeah, it's your final test and tutorial video. This is the slide-on sewing bed. You'll notice that it has a little keeper that slips onto a little knob on the back, and it's got a spring-loaded latch. You just slide it on, hold that latch out, slide it on so that little keeper goes onto the protrusion on the back there. Let the latch go, and the little pin will go into the hole there, and now you have a sewing bed. Oh, and I forgot to mention there are also legs, support legs that fold down in the front there. And to take it off, just the same thing, pull the little latch there and slide it off. Your bobbin is down here in the bobbin case, and this is a pinch type latch. You just squeeze it and pull it out. Make sure your needle is up out of the needle hole, or it'll hold the bobbin from coming out. Now, as long as you're squeezing that little spring-loaded latch there, your bobbin's not going to fall out while you're moving it around. So you let go of the little latch, drop the bobbin into your hand, and wind your bobbin. And rather than wind the whole bobbin, we're just gonna do a real simple little demonstration here. Let's see. Your bobbin winder is on the back here. This is your bobbin winder. Bobbin just pushes on there, and it automatically disengages the bobbin winder from the rest of the machine, so when the motor spins, it doesn't make the machine cycle, but it turns the bobbin to wind it. And this is also behind that, this knob is your speed control. This is a 2-speed motor. You can go pull it out like that to take it real slow and easy around, you know, if you're doing fancy quilting or something, or if you need a little bit more power, kind of like a gear reduction. Push it in your regular speed. I think that there must have been a tensioner at this point. I'll look around and see if I have something that'll work as a tensioner there. But even, you know, without it, it's not a problem. You can still wind bobbins. So, to wind a bobbin, put your spool of thread on the spool pin, go into this little curly Q thread guide here, and down. Yeah, there must have been a tensioner there. That would make sense. Anyway, put a few wraps of thread on the bobbin just to hold the thread in place while the bobbin winds. And I don't espouse winding thread overall thread on the bobbin. I always pull the thread off, but as I said, this is just a demonstration, and I'm going to pull this thread back off later. So with the let's see, which way is this going to spin? I'm pretty sure it goes that way. Yeah. So with the thread going on this way, slide your bobbin onto the bobbin winder, and since the tensioner is not there, just put a tiny bit of tension on it, just enough to keep it from being, there we go, sloppy. Just like that to wind the bobbin. So with the thread coming off of the bobbin, off the top of the bobbin in this direction, drop the bobbin into the bobbin case and guide the thread into this little slanted slot on the side and up under this flat leaf spring, which is your lower tension. And pull up till you feel it click into place. Then with this little finger pointing up, squeeze the little latch to hold your bobbin in place while you're moving around. With the little finger pointing up, it'll go right into its little cutout that's made to fit it. Make sure it's in there snug so it's not going to drop out. And thread the machine. To thread the machine, put the spool on the spool pin, go into the big thread guide on the back, into the thread guide on the front, and down between the discs of the tension assembly all the way around up to the top again, so you can catch this little thin check spring. Then go under the big thread guide down here and up to your take-up lever, which is the thingy that goes up and down while you're sewing. Again, you may already be real familiar with this machine, so forgive me if I'm not being condescending. I'm going to post this video on YouTube, and there will be people that will be able to learn how to use their machine from this video. I always cut a nice fresh end before I try to go through the eye of the needle. Makes it much easier. Go through the eye of the needle from the front to the back. So from the spool into the back thread guide, front thread guide, all the way around the tension assembly, catches check spring, back down under the big thread guide, up to the take-up lever, down through this curly thread guide, down to this thread guide on the needle clamp, and through your needle from front to back. Holding the needle thread loosely, turn the hand wheel towards you one full revolution. The needle will take the thread down, where the hook will pick it up and wrap it around the bobbin and bring up the lower thread. There it is, your lower thread. Put the thread between the toes of the presser foot and towards the back of the machine, and you're ready to sew. This knob here is your stitch width. This knob is your stitch length. This button in the middle is your reverse. This knob is your stitch pattern selector, and we'll go over all those again later. This is your feed drop. Push it in, and it's got a notch on the bottom, so you push it in and it latches into place to pop And while your feet is dropped, then you can do free motion sewing like darning and patching and quilting and machine embroidery, that sort of thing. To release it, you just lift up a little bit and it pops right back out, and your feed comes up, and now your feed dogs are moving the fabric. So this stitch selector corresponds to the stitch pattern cam. Let's see. Always make sure your needle is up out of the fabric when you start moving this knob around, so you don't accidentally bend your needle. Line up the two white dots with each other, and then you can just slip your stitch pattern cam out of the back. You'll notice that it's got a little guide pin on the back there. Make sure when you put it in into the hole in the back, turn it a little bit, make sure that that goes into one of the cutouts. Words are not coming easily this morning. Anyway, make sure that that goes into the hole that's supposed to go in. Just turn a little bit and you'll feel it drop in. There we go. Yeah, that's it. Then holding that in place, you turn to whatever you want to go to. And right now, what we want to go to is straight stitch and zigzag, which it's all marked on the dial here. We're going to set our stitch width at 0 because we're going to do a straight stitch. We don't want any zigzag. We're going to put our stitch length at about 2. That's a good average stitch length for regular thread, regular fabric. And now we're ready to sew. Oh, I should also mention the tension. This is your upper tension. If you sew a seam and it looks like the bottom is loose or loopy, you might want to turn the tension up just a smidge. You don't go a little bit at a time. Okay, so are we on? I believe so. Yeah. All right, here we go. That's just a little bit loose looking. I'm going to turn the thread up to, the tension up to 2.5. And I'm going to turn the stitch length up a little bit too. It's a good habit just to get in to raise your needle before you make any adjustments over here. It's not really going to matter a lot with the stitch length because it doesn't move the needle like the stitch width or the pattern selector would, but just a good habit. Okay, now here we go. A little more stitch length, a little more tension. A little more stitch length just so we can see the stitches easily. Yeah, that looks better. Stitch looks a lot more snug. The bottom thread and the top thread should pull each other up into the fabric. The thread shouldn't lay on top or sag below. They should both, the stitch should meet in the middle. So that's straight stitch. Okay, needle up out of the fabric. We're going to add some stitch width and make a zigzag. I'm just going to turn it all the way up to 4, which is the widest zigzag. And there we go. nice looking zigzag. I think we could use just a hair more tension, so I'm going to take it all the way up to 3. Anyway, your ballpark area for your tension is going to be around 3 or 3.5, and again you can go up a few increments either direction or up or down until you get the stitch that you like using the fabric and thread that you're using, because it will make a difference. Now, before we go off in a different direction, I'm going to go back to straight stitch. That's 0 on the stitch width, and I'm going to pull out this little knob that's on your bobbin winder here. This is low gear. This is reverse. Now I'm going to push that green knob back in, and we'll be back to regular speed. So, on this knob we have multi-stitch zigzag. Go the other way, we have a blind stitch. And then, if we go all the way, turn the knob counterclockwise till we get to the colored marks. These correspond to the stitch patterns marked on the back of the cam. I only have the A cam, but you can find the other cams online on eBay. Shouldn't be too expensive. And I don't know if you can actually see those stitch patterns from there or not. The red looks like a scallop. The yellow is a stretch stitch. I don't know what it's called. Kind of looks like little diamonds. This is hearts, and this one looks like a blind stitch. So again, with the 2 dots lined up, push your knob into the back, turn it until you feel it drop into one of the holes it's supposed to go in, and holding the knob in just gently, I'm going to turn to blue. That's our first color, and the mechanism in the back will latch onto that cam and draw it in and move it to the different stitch patterns. So we're on blue, so we're going to turn your stitch length into the blue area, and in that stitch length you have a little bit of play, a little bit of adjustment. You can choose how it looks best to you. Stitch width, same thing. I'm going to turn it all the way up to the blue zone on this one. And let's do a different fabric that stitch pattern will show up on. Let's see, what do I have? It'll show up on this white thread on white fabric. It's not going to be easy to see. It's not going to be easy for you to see, but it's a nice line of little hearts. Pretty cute. And again, you can adjust the size and the shape of the pattern a little bit because you have a little bit of play there on your stitch length and your stitch width. that you can adjust it with. So that's your stretch stitch. I believe that red was scallops. So red zone on the stitch length and red zone on the stitch width. Okay, here it goes. You'll tighten up that stitch length just a little bit. To adjust the pattern. That's your scallop stitch there. It's a little bit spread out here. I tightened it up as we were going along. And go over to the purple zone on the stitch length and purple zone on the stitch width. All right, this was that blind stitch. I guess some of the other cams must have a green setting, but probably see that. So stitch width, stitch length, reverse, stitch pattern selector, feed drop, tension, speed control, bobbin winding. I'm going to look and see if I have a tensioner off of another machine that might fit that. Well, we're in luck. I did have another I was able to find the tension device on another Viking that I had back there. So let's install it. Let's do that bobbin winding one more time. I feel better about this. Okay, spool on the spool pin, go into the curly Q thread guide, you go behind it, behind that little hook, then around the spring-loaded tensioner, then over to your bobbin. So that's how that works. To insert your stitch pattern cam, you'll notice there's a little keeper, I'm not a keeper, but a guide pin on the back of your cam. The first thing you want to do is align the two white dots on the face of the machine on the stitch selector knob. You slide your cam into the cam area and turn it until you feel that guide pin drop into one of the holes it's made for it. And then you just turn it to the color pattern on the stitch selector that you want. You'll notice the cam moving in and out. If you ever have, if it's ever not making the pattern you want, just take the cam out and put it back in again. And, make sure that it's seated right. That's it. Easy, easy peasy. And that's it. Thank you so much. I do hope that you enjoy this machine. It's a beauty. It's really a top quality machine, made in Sweden. It's fast and strong and smooth, makes a nice stitch. And if you have come here from somewhere else on the internet and found this video, we are Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine, and we restore vintage sewing machines. We've been doing this since back in the 1900s, and we're good at it. We've restored well over 1,000 machines, probably closer to 2,000 or 3,000 machines by this point. And so, if you have mom's machine, grandma's machine, the machine that you grew up with, and you want her running and sewing and looking like new, yeah, check us out. You'll find our website at stagecoachroadsewing.com. We're on Stagecoach Road out here in the Coast Range of Oregon, so we are stagecoachroadsewing.com. And if you come out there, you'll find information on how to contact us, and you'll also find a whole slew of machines of our own that we've restored, and they're available for you to purchase and bring home to your sewing room. So again, that's stagecoachroadsewing.com, and we'll see you there.